mathematically, 1 point, you're in the playoffs. Yep. Take it.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Northampton have got a tough one up at Barrow, but I actually think the favourites are Bristol Rovers to go up there because of the fixture there at home to Scunthorpe, which is your ideal fixture on the last day of the season. So unless Scunthorpe produce something miraculous that they haven't done over the last 45 games, then I think Bristol Rovers are probably favourites. Northampton is tough going to Barrow. If they win, it's in their hands. If they win, they're up. But it is a tough game for them.
What a finish playing against a team that were top of the table for so long, and then they lost their striker, one of their scoring men of the top three. He's in second and third place they had a few weeks ago, and since then they've struggled a little bit to maintain the same sort of form. But they could still win the league, and
that's their incentive. With Exeter playing Port Vale, they're trying to get the result to get in the playoffs, and it's a big incentive for Forest Green. So it's not a case of them coming and being halfway to the beach. They'll be desperate to try and win the league. I think Forest Green suffered because they were so far ahead. I think when you get as far ahead as they were, they're almost promoted at Christmas, just after in everything, unless they had an absolute disaster, which they haven't had. And they were promoted, 4 or 5 games to go. So I think they probably suffered from being too good in the first half of the season, but I'm sure they'll take that. But when we look at the league table now, what are we, 8 points off top? God, when you look back over 45 games, you can get those 8 points just off the top of your head.
Now, I know you're a calculator. You've got to calculate beyond this game, really, in a way, with who you've got available and players that you might bring back in, and then it could re-injure or make things worse.
Yeah, well, once again, we need to quite make sure that we get in the playoffs, so that everything else after that goes out the window. Everything's focused towards Saturday. Nothing else matters, and then we'll deal with whatever comes after that.
Your philosophy is always go for a win. Do you have to change that a little bit? Or could it change as the game goes on?
It could change as the game goes on, but I don't think you can play for a draw. I think it's almost impossible in football to play for a draw. To actually win in any way, we're not that sort of side who can go away from home. I think, what's the phrase, part of the bus that they used to say about Mr. Mourinho's teams and stuff. I don't think we're capable of doing that. We're not that sort of team. Keep going for the wins, because that's what's got us where we are now.
Let's deal with a couple of players, one visibly seen by people on television and those that were at the game. James Perch looked pretty stunned when he took a knock. How is he?
He's okay. He got a couple of whacks on the side of his head, but he's got that guard on, the protector, which is good. And when Tom, the physio, went on, he did all the protocols and all the checks, just make sure that you doubly do them, And then he said, no, I'm absolutely fine. And we're asking him every few minutes, are you okay? And then we just gave him a breather the last sort of 5-10 minutes or whatever, just in case.
Rumour on the block says that Steve Quinn came and had a bit of a tryout to see how he felt, and then decided he wasn't going to carry on just yet and rest a little longer. Is that right?
We tried to train on Sunday afternoon, and he did a little bit, but he was very restricted in what he could do. I'd say it was about 60% of what he normally is. And then you've got the risk of it making it much, much worse. But it's only 60% as good as he is. We're not playing him at that. And it's funny because he doesn't declare himself unfit. When I saw it, sort of Monday morning, and I said, we're not. It's two things. He said probably best. Yeah, probably best. So he knew deep down.
Obviously, with it being the final day, plenty at stake. What's going through the minds of the players at the moment? Some of them would have been there before, but some of the younger players won't have been there, the likes of Ryan Stirk and Nathan Bishop, amongst others. What do you think they'll be thinking about on the final day?
I hope they're thinking about just doing the jobs and doing what they've been asked to do. Because when we do that and the players carry out to the best of their abilities what we ask them to do, we stand a better chance of winning. And when we don't, and we do some daft things like we did 1 or 2 at Salford, and we did certainly against Sutton at home on the Friday night, the last 2 of our last 3 defeats, not defeats at Salford, then we stand a much better chance of winning. So just clear, I keep using the phrase to him, clear your minds, just focus on what you've been asked to do. There's nothing else. That's why I was disappointed with Lucas, because he knows from working with us for several years, we said don't give free kicks away, especially early on. He gave a very, very soft free kick away, a needless one. That's what frustrates you.
Yeah, moments like that, of course, change games early on in the first half and early on in the second half as well. Ultimately, that's cost you a big opportunity at Salford.
Yeah, all 4 goals really from set plays as well. when you looked at it. Our penalty comes from a free kick. Even their second goal comes from Reece Oates giving a free kick away deep in their penalty area, and then it was literally a flick on, a cross, and a goal. So that's pretty much from a set play as well. It shows the importance of not giving free kicks away when you don't have to.
Yeah. How do you reflect on the season as a whole? We spoke to Steve McLaughlin after the game, and he always looks back on the game at Northampton, 2-0 down, second from bottom. It felt like rock bottom at that stage, but from then, obviously, you've gone up and surged towards the top end of the table. Just how do you reflect on that?
Didn't feel like it was rock bottom after Northampton. I think the way we started the season and the first 4 performances, especially, were very, very good indeed. And even the draw at Colchester, we should have won. The penalty that was given was ridiculous. And even the defeat against Preston in the League Cup, I thought we played extremely well that night as well, despite losing 3-0. So I think the performances generally haven't been too bad. Northampton was the only one, I'd say, where you'd say we didn't really perform. That's not bad out of 45. And we've been disappointing at certain times at home to Sutton and even away to Sutton with the result and everything. But the performance wasn't that bad. So to get to that stage is good. I think it's been an unbelievably exciting season. Roller coaster, they call it. Ups and downs all the way through. But we're still in there and we're fighting. Let's finish on a high.
Yeah. Have you ever had a season quite like this one as a manager or a player?
No, not as up and down. No. Usually you're pretty constant and you'll go through and you'll have your few dips where you'll lose a few games, whatever. But to go the long run without winning and then to win as many games as we did is incredible. And even now, to have won 13 out of 14 of our last home games from where we came from is still remarkable.
Obviously, as a manager, you've got to be spinning a lot of plates. You're concentrating hard on Forest Green, but how's it going with your summer wanted list?
On hold.
Presumably you started writing one.
Oh, yeah, we've got one. Yeah, we're not going to be, I don't think there'll be massive numbers of players coming in because we've got a very good squad. And the thing also, when you look back over the season, is that 8 points that were off the top of the league, 8 points. When you have that sort of run, if we'd have got anything at all in that run, or even outside of that run, we have a fair shout for automatic promotion, the injuries and stuff. So we feel as though we're not far away anyway. So it doesn't need disrupting too much. It just needs, I think, 4 or 5 players adding, depending on who we lose, and then we'll have a good enough squad if we don't make it this year to have a real challenge next year.
You'd be keen to keep the loan players for another season if they're available?
Well, they're totally up to the parent clubs. There's no guarantees with any of the loan players once you get them, especially the likes of Matty Longstaff on the deal that we have. It's highly unlikely we'll get him again.
Lovely. Great stuff.